Ladies and gentlemen, April 23rd, 2025. This is another fantasy show. I am Chuck Bass. I've got my man, the Degenerate, in the house with me. We are both rocking the shield today. It is an NFL-centric program. We're looking forward to an entire weekend of all 32 teams screwing up, surprising us, making drunk picks from the war room, causing us to drink in our living room, all the fun stuff. How we doing, man? You ready for the good?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And yes, I am very ready. I'm a big fan of the NFL draft. Growing up, it was like my favorite sporting event of the year. The old format was like my dream weekend. Saturday, Sunday, I had my notebook. I did mocks leading up to it. I'll never forget. Do you remember a running back from Florida named Ciatric Faison?
Oh my gosh,
64.
that's gonna be our throwback of the week. Faison, let's go.
That was like when I'll never forget when I was mocking the Bucks draft so hard. Like that was like my second round guy that I wanted. But yeah, no, I'm fired up. This draft, well, it took me a little while to really get into it. I will say it's like an interesting class, but I've warmed up to it for the most part.
Yeah, it's a meat and potatoes draft. There's a lot of just the order in particular. It's a lot of guys that you feel like you can pencil in, and traditionally that never happens, but just kind of like there's a lot of obvious fits, a lot of obvious guys that can step in year one and contribute to a lot of units. And that's both sides of the ball too, which is rare. So we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about some bets today. Before we do, though, I do want to say the Buccaneers hat is behind me. You're a Buccaneers fan. Buccaneers are sitting on the clock in the late teens. We were talking beforehand about, the Jihad Campbell projection, which makes a lot of sense. It's in everybody's mocks. How are you feeling? Let's say, how are you feeling about that? And then if for some reason he's taken, do you have somebody else you're eyeing for that pick?
Well, no, I can't say that I do.
All right, moving on to our main segment.
No, I mean, I really don't. I don't even know, I guess, of another, I haven't looked at like the position rankings very well. I know McShay comes out with his, Mel Kiper's got his. I've looked at probably about 5 or 6 different mocks, and we were talking. It looks like everybody's got Campbell going for the most part, or a defensive end. I'm okay with any of them because the depth of this draft at those edge and defensive line positions will be fine for a team like Tampa picking at 19. But again, as a fan and watching the team last year, I was really surprised with how Levante David, how well he was able to play given his age. But Kenny Britt. No, KJ Britt. Why am I blank? Kenny Britt was the old wide receiver, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like they're the different sides of the same coin. Kenny Britt is the wide receiver version of KJ Britt. There's no
so you know what's so funny? I mean, I wanted to like this guy going in like when they were in training camp and everything, and obviously Todd Bowles is a defensive guy, and I was like, he's got good schemes, we'll be fine. And I remember I'm not like the biggest pro football focused guy, but this was the first year I subscribed because I wanted to kind of look at the analytics, and I like how they grade players after every week. I remember a few weeks in when I was like, man, I feel like Britt's really bad at linebacker. I pulled it up on PFF, and he was ranked like dead last out of all linebackers in the NFL. So it kind of stuck with me, and I was still going to give him a chance, but he's not very good. So yeah, they very much need a linebacker. I'm always down with an SEC linebacker. They've obviously have a history of getting like Devin White, who was awesome. So I'm good with the Campbell pick, but if it's a defensive end, I'll be fine with that as well.
Yeah, either one of those two. It's got to be those two. Bowles has done for a long time now. He's kind of used the creativity with his blitz packaging and who he's dropping back from the line to kind of hide some of the flaws in that front seven. And I don't think that's a train that he can ride for much longer. It's been. I said this earlier today. If you guys ever get the chance to have the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons in your division, I can't recommend it enough. It is just. I mean, living on easy street, but I don't know how free those meals are going to keep coming. And once these teams, not that I think they're ever going to fully have it together, but we've been able to get by with a little black magic here or there. So I like that. Love an edge pick. That'd be great. Yeah, if we could see like a Mike Green fall. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of mocks where Jalen Walker falls, but he is a guy that a lot of people are split 50-50 on. So maybe if the cards fly right, somebody always falls on draft night. That's kind of my pie in the sky let's take one of these freaks. Although,
I got a guy for you who I've actually just saw on the odds board because I was looking at lines and whatnot. Michael Williams was
ooh,
minus 140 to go in the first round.
yeah,
I've seen this guy mocked anywhere from like around, 10, 11, 12 to falling back in the late teens. Depending on where you look on the rankings, he's maybe not even like the top like 30, 35 overall players
yeah.
on like an actual big board. So I would be very content with that. But I thought minus 140 for him to go in the first round seemed like, I don't want to say free, but I thought it would have been a little bit more of a steeper price.
Yeah, I've kind of hodgepodge some mocks together using some AI just to kind of like give me an average of what some of these places that I trust are. And they have him going 10, 11, or 12 in that range. So
Sounds about right.
that's Bears, 49ers, Cowboys. And I know we'll start off here in just a minute here with one of your first picks, which does kind of teeter on that territory. And so you're kind of already in that headspace initially. But before we get there, let's give a good shout out to our fellas at Fast Draft.
Rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Jimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies and use your favorite player profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Seabass said that.
Well, if that guy at the table over there is Seabass.
Ladies and gentlemen, promo code CBASS. I know the audio listeners were very confused when they typed in SEABASS with the promo code CBAS, and they're probably going, what the hell is going on? So for everybody out there who at least gave it the old college try, I appreciate you, and I will continue to let you down if it's supposed to financially benefit me anyway. That Chaos tournament is live now. The Origins tournament filled like that. We brought it back with Origins Chaos, $5 entry, $5,000 prize pool. Get over there and have some fun. Now, speaking of having fun here, we got some people in the chat I want to shout out. So let's get up to Slashy, AFS All-Star, Rachel's in the house, Chuck Bass is my draft bestie. You're bringing an audience tonight, Degenerate. Usually the comments don't start flowing in other than Slashy until past the halfway point. I think they saw the shield on you. They saw the shield on me, and they knew that was going to be. Sam, how we doing, bud? And Barty Bart, evening, gents. All right, I'm loving the crew here, so let's not disappoint. So when I gave you these, we're going to go over best bets for the draft. So when I gave you these, did you have a few that you were already like, I've loved these, let's fire them in the holster, or did you kind of like do a little bit more digging?
I actually did place some wagers today. I think in total it's hard for me to count right now. Sorry, my eyes are getting terrible on me, and I did turn off my light back here. So
bring it back. Bring it back.
No. I think I've got 11 bets, but
sure.
I had 2 of them are silly. One is Abdul Carter to go number 2 at 7-1 and Travis Hunter to go 3 because I'm not buying that. We can talk about that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I had that in my am I gonna be man enough to talk about this on the show segment. Because you know what? Like, and I'll let you, if you want to take the lead away here, but I will say it's the Browns. I cannot put anything past what this team will or won't do.
So here's the thing. I don't want to sound like a boomer, okay? I understand that Travis Hunter is an elite athlete, and I played Pop Warner football, and it reminds me of guys that you see in Pop Warner teams where they're playing 2 ways, and you're like, this guy is going to be like Booby Miles, just incredible.
Yeah,
being elite. Yeah. I've never in my lifetime have I seen that work out in the NFL. So the appeal for Travis Hunter in college football makes all the sense in the world because he can play both ways. And I respect that. And that's incredible. But going into the NFL, what is he? Is he the best wide receiver? And that's why you're taking him to play wide receiver? Is he the best cornerback? And that's why you're taking him? Or are you just like, give me a freak athlete and we'll figure it out? I'm okay with that. But if it were me, I've seen Abdul Carter play in person. I went to Notre Dame, Penn State,
Mm.
Orange Bowl. That guy jumps off. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're watching on TV or in person, he stands out. He is a guy I think is too good to pass up on. Now, what I always say is this: every year, all these teams always try to copycat the Super Bowl winners, because they kind of have the blueprint. I understand the Eagles have tons of strengths, but where are they the most terrifying? Right in the trenches on the defensive line. Yeah. I think Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter to me, and he's a Penn State guy. Like, come on. I just don't think Travis Hunter is AFC North type. I don't. But, and I'm not even talking about the weather. I understand Colorado gets cold, but I could see him being a New York guy. I can't see him being a Cleveland guy. With that said, we're talking about a guy who's minus 1,500 or minus 2,000 to get picked to the Browns. Everything I'm saying is probably stupid. But if it happens... If it does play out this way, I'm gonna be pissed if I don't have at least $25 on it. So
yeah, it's honestly the odds make it tempting, and then the team behind the decision making really slams the door or busts the door open on that one. And I think you're right. For a team that's about as hamstrung as any team is from a cap standpoint, if you can get tier 1 production from a rookie over the next 4 years on a rookie contract from Carter. And I say that because I know we're going to get that from Carter, or at least he's as sure a bet as any of these top 7, 8 guys to really give you that, to make that rookie contract a valuable asset. Do I trust them to put Hunter in the position to get that same leverage that they might from that contract? It's really hard to say. I don't doubt Hunter's ability as a player. I doubt him being used properly from teams that haven't shown that they are even honestly worthy of having a team in their city. Now, I'm not dogging the fans. The Browns have run this team like a team that should be out of there. So I'm with you on that one, and I think throwing a little free cash on that would be a little fun. I do want to get to this one real quick. You've obviously never seen Gossip Girls because you called me Chuck Bass earlier, is what Sick Money has to say. It is Chuck Bass, so you got to cut you some slack there.
I did get called out today. I was telling my crowd. When I did my stream, I'm going on Chuck Bass's show, and I got corrected quickly that it's Bass, and I was like, "Shit, is that a play on a Gossip Girl character?"
No, it's actually my name, and it's haunted me for the large part of my my adolescence, well into college, and it's prevented me from potentially having a little bit more success in life. But it's okay. I'm on a podcast with you on Wednesday night after happy hour. We're chilling. We're having a good time here. So
love it.
Let's get to your first bet here, which I'm excited about, and we teased right before the ad. Tell us about your first NFL draft best bet.
All right, which one did I put on the spreadsheet or the doc?
I have got San Francisco.
Yes. Okay. San Francisco to take a defensive lineman / edge plus 100, so even money. I think the second on the odds board is an offensive lineman. And it's not a big discrepancy. So there is respect for that position for the Niners to go that route. If you look at the 49ers as a whole, right? I honestly, I don't know how you feel about Kyle Shanahan. I had a little bit of a soft spot for the guy after the situation with the Falcons and the 28-3. And then I've always thought I like innovative play callers and coaches. And he would have been a guy I really wanted to get the Super Bowl, but it really feels like their window is shut. Right. But now they've got a new defensive coordinator, or I guess not a new, but hiring, God, why am I blanking on the name? Jets coach.
Saleh. Saleh's back. Yeah.
Saleh's back. I think they need to revamp this defense.
Yeah.
And, I know they got Joey Bosa. They got Fred Warner. I think Greenlaw's gone. Yep. But in my opinion, that Niners defense was Swiss cheese last year.
Yeah. Free money.
They need a guy. They need a dog over there on the defensive side to kind of pair with Bosa. I don't think they have anyone that really gets you that excited. So this would be my favorite bet. I tried to get down a little bit more than the average unit on it. I was unsuccessful. But that would be my most confident play. I just think that the guy I have going to them is Mike Green in my mock. I'm not very good at mocks, but you could tell me
nobody is. Nobody's good at mocks. Don't worry.
So this guy, I mean, he's a freak. He's got a lot of off-field issues, but I don't know. I feel like John Lynch and Shanahan probably feel like they wouldn't care too much about that. They probably feel like they can fix them and whatnot. Maybe like a little bit of a Patriots mindset with Belichick in there. So Yeah, I think it makes just too much sense,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna lean into that. So give me the even money Niners to take a defensive lineman / edge with the first pick.
I love that because this plays on something that I think a lot of people need to realize when they're looking at the teams who are drafting, and specifically long tenured general managers. They've got a type.
Yeah.
They always draft type. And you're talking about the line specifically just since 2015, first round picks on Armstead, Buckner, Bosa, Kinlaw. I mean, they draft big, quick, defensive linemen. They didn't really add anybody that I think fills the need for them. They're more depth pieces, right? You mentioned bringing in Bosa. They signed Leonard Floyd, Gross Matu, still really lacking that kind of, game breaker on the other side, which they have had traditionally in the past. They just haven't been getting it the last few years. So I love that pick. There's even been talk of them trading up, and I think that trade up is to, they've been projected a lot to trade up to 6 with the Raiders maybe. And typically, I think that's going to be a trade up to secure one of these elite edges after Carter.
Jalen Walker, maybe?
That would be hot. That would be so hot. And that covers your base either way with this pick, right? Because, I think that by that pick, you're going to see Will Campbell gone. You might see, who's the other tackle? Ahmad Mendu gone. Membu, thank you. So you might see those two go 4-5. So if there's an opportunity for them to trade up and solidify the other house side of the line, I think that'd be good to go. So I love that. Feel really good. The 49ers, they stick to the script, like you're a Bucs fan, I'm a Bucs fan. We have guys that, these guys, these long tenured GMs have guys that they like.
Yep. That's a great, you make an excellent point to add on top of that. So I feel even better about it, even if they, and you know what, I like the Panthers to take an edge and kind of like 7, 8, 9, 10. Now that I look at it, you're right. Like that position is in play. So it would make a lot of sense for them to jump ahead and secure someone like Jalen Walker if they can.
Yeah. And we'll do walk down memory lane real quick. Slashy says the first time he watched the show was when you were on in the season.
Oh, let's go, Slashy. That was my second time on, so that must have been the first time, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, and if anybody remembers, we went, I think, 16 for 16 on picks that day. So that was really a banner day for him to be hopping on the train. I was really, really happy to have him on. And before we move on to my first chalk one, Patrick did want to know, and tying up that Browns Giants talk about earlier, he said, I think this viewpoint on Carter to the Browns is logical, but didn't the Browns GM have a comment that basically said it would be Hunter? He did, but also, that's just his reliability. I want to shout out my guy, Coach Speak Index, who's been doing a fascinating and incredible work. They're expanding into beat writer index as far as reliability for organizations and not just the coaches themselves. And Andrew Berry is just not one of those guys, and particularly because the owners put him in a position to call the shots for him sometimes, as opposed to letting him work. So it's hard to take what comes out of him, or you got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So for my pick, I'm just going chalk. I have Ashton Genty, pick 10 at 425. This one is purely gut and purely value. I love the 425 because I do think he'll be a top 10 pick. I don't think he's a Bijan talent. I don't think he's a Saquon talent. I think he's really close, maybe the bottom of that tier. But Bijan fell to 8. I think that Genty will probably fall to that 10 spot. I don't think this to the Jaguars thing. I think it's a big smokescreen. I think that a new GM, a new head coach, it would be insane for them to take, with that roster that they have, I think it would be insane for them to take a running back right now at 5. If you're at 10, that is a huge difference. That 5 to 10 gap is a massive gap in what teams are capable of doing, and typically rosters as well. So that could be the Bears. It could be a team trading up to 10, and I'm not quite positive how that's going to shake out, but I don't see him to the Saints at 9. I don't see him to the Jets at 7. So I think that there's a pretty good possibility that this happens. What are your Genty thoughts as far as where he's going to be going?
I couldn't agree with you more. The Jags taking a running back at 5 makes 0 sense to me. When I do my mock drafts, I really don't try to, predict many trades.
Yeah.
But I did do one. And I don't know if this is chalky in itself, but I had the Bears trading from 10 to 5 to get Genty because there is that noise that the Raiders might take him. I don't know if they do or don't, but Genty to me, I think he with a Ben Johnson coming in to Chicago, it doesn't necessarily mean I think they're going to totally neglect defense.
Sure.
But if they want to go offensive line, I got no issue with that either. But he is coming from a Detroit Lions team that had a two-headed monster at running back. And I do think that it helps a young quarterback tremendously to have somebody like Genty back there if you can get the running game going. And he is a wizard with the play design.
Yeah.
So the way I played this is I've got Genty going to the Bears the Bears to draft Genty at plus 350. So you had, what was your bet exactly?
The 10th pick exactly. So
and what are the odds on that?
425.
Okay.
And so and you know what that is? And you mentioned, I don't like to do trades either. So that is things staying exactly the same. The Bears are moving up. They're taking Genty. That is a move up pick. And that is because, that you look at what they have picks 10 overall, 39, 41, 72. So they have 4 picks in the top 72. And they can hammer any other position with those next 3 picks and still get pretty good starting level value with all 3 of them. So take the superstar running back and make Caleb Williams' life a little easier.
But before we move on, I am just curious. You said it's a smokescreen. I agree. Why would the Jags, with the way Tank Bigsby came up last year, what am I missing? Why would they draft a running back?
I think that I think they're just trying to create buzz to maybe get somebody to move up and go back. Just kind of like the Raiders kind of, I thought, were too, because I thought that would be another insane pick. Just because either these teams in the top 6, their rosters are like, they have a couple either top heavy guys, or the rest of the roster has maybe one really good player on either side of the ball. I just think it would be so crazy. You can get by with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby for a year while you figure out who on this team is capable of implementing your scheme. Which I think this is where we're going to be. Oh man, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I really struggle with how much did Liam Cohen do for the Bucs offense versus how much was this framework relatively put in place already. The offensive line was very good last year in Tampa. Quarterback play was good. So if you take this offensive coordinator and you shuffle him over to the Jaguars, who are a mess on the offensive line, they're very shallow at wide receiver, and their running backs, they're going to need a good offensive line to operate. It's iffy for me.
I'm totally with you, by the way, and we don't have to harp on it too much. Again, we're Bucs fans. This isn't a Bucs show, but I do think it's very funny. It wasn't. Dave Canales had a great year as an offensive coordinator, so much so that he got hired as a head coach. Liam Cohen, don't get me wrong, he did a very good job, but it's like there's probably something there with the foundation of the Bucs offense as well. So I'm totally with you.
Yeah, how do you separate? That's the age-old question. And you know what? NFL GMs and owners a lot of times don't even know how do you separate who is doing the heavy lifting there. So all right, let's pop back to another one here for you. You've got 3 more very good ones here. I've got the Seahawks pegged for you next.
Okay. So I was going through, let's see, my mock draft, and the one thing that I noted, by the way, did you do a mock draft? Because I don't want to be the douche referencing my mock if you didn't do one.
No, I didn't do one. I'm shit posting on Twitter all day. I'm pretending that I'm busy at work. It's all kinds of crazy. What have yous.
So, okay. The thing with the Seattle Seahawks is I guess you can convince me that they need help in other areas, and I wouldn't talk you off of that, but I'm just thinking to myself, okay, they signed Cooper Kupp, and I don't think they signed Cooper Kupp to necessarily be a superstar.
Yeah.
Because Cooper Kupp is probably a system wide receiver, and we saw him fall off a little bit, but I think he'll be serviceable. Yeah. JSN's still kind of an exciting guy. You've got running back. You paid a quarterback. You need an offensive line.
Yeah.
You have to have an offensive line. And I'm looking at their depth chart. I know Charles Cross because they drafted him recently, and that's like all I know. I think I even bet on him, actually, and I probably lost that. Oh, yeah. He got drafted 9th, and I think I had like under 6.5 or something. Thought the Jets were going to take him, and they didn't. But that's the only guy I really recognize on their offensive line that's worth a shit. Yeah. So I was going through my mock. I'm probably going to get every pick wrong. I have done that before.
Give the people what they want. They can't get enough of this, I promise.
There is a guy that just makes all the sense in the world for a team like the Seahawks. And I got him taking Tyler Booker, the offensive guard. I believe he's from Alabama.
Yeah.
And the other, there's not a ton of offensive linemen that I have super high. Will Campbell's probably going to go to the Patriots at 4. I'm with you on Membu. I think I have the Raiders probably taking him. Yep. And then, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about Kelvin Banks. He's another stud. Those guys are tackles, though, and Charles Cross is their left tackle. I think they need somebody on the interior. So this is like the first interior guy, at least to my knowledge. So the way I played this is the Seahawks' first pick to be an offensive lineman. So they can go any position in the offensive line, and it's minus 120. If, again, the competition, I always just go what the odds are. The next best pick is a wide receiver at 4-1. Sure. If you want to tell me again that they're going to take wide receiver, that's fine. But also, I kind of think there's some guys that you can wait on, maybe in the second round, or you can jump back in for it. So I think wide receivers are going to kind of fall a little bit in this first round, and maybe you can make a play in the second. So, but I don't think you can really fuck around with an interior offensive lineman because there's not that many of them. Yeah, and I feel like Tyler Booker might be a monster. So yeah, give me the Seahawks to take an offensive lineman with their first pick minus 120.
I love that. This is a unit that, I mean, this team's never going to go anywhere regardless of who they sign in free agency at any of the skill position players. If the interior specifically of the line has been a problem for them for the better part of maybe 5 or 6 years now. They have struggled, they've patched work, and you know what? They have invested capital. They have just taken swings and they've missed. This is a young team with not a lot of expectations. I would love for them to just build from the inside out. You've got a defensive-minded head coach who was implementing some incredible defensive schemes last year. I think they're going to have that side of the ball covered. So I don't think there's a lot to worry about. I think you're right. They've got enough talent that they don't have to invest early or heavily on the skill position players. The running back room is good. Wide receiver room has a very good player, a good player, and then a couple other this and that's. A young, good blocking tight end and AJ Barner, so you really don't have to worry too much about the outsides. I love this, and they're in such a good position for one of these guys to come down and make their way to them, especially with all, the buzz we're hearing about who's rising late, who's going to, panic and maybe trade up. So there's that group of 4 guys. The odds of one of them falling, especially in that 18th spot, is very, very good, and I like the juice on this too.
All right.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out here. Sometimes it just feels good, sometimes it comes together.
Yeah, I know. You're kind of you're adding on like perfect little nuggets to all my picks that I'm like mentally taking notes on if I need to explain myself tomorrow. So
you got this. All right. Hey,
absorbing what you're saying like a sponge.
Hey, that's why we do this, right? That's how we're having good times. All right, what's the next good time here? Man, you have these. The difference between us though is that you have these just like fun, interesting kind of hinge picks where you have these teams where it's like, look, you need to shit or get off the pot with this position group. And I guess my fantasy brain went a little bit. That's kind of what drew me to this. So I've got Emeka Ibuka going as the second wide receiver drafted at plus 500. This is such a fascinating one because I really do think if Travis Hunter were to declare, he would be the wide receiver 1, Tet would be the wide receiver 2, and there'd be a cascading effect. But there's kind of this shuffle, and there's this late shuffle specifically to where McMillan entered draft season as the wide receiver 1. And when you enter as a wide receiver 1 and you're not really that tier 1, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze level talent that I think people kind of spend all of the offseason, the rest until the draft at least, trying to kind of pick flaws in your game and knock you off that crown. And there are some to be had. I mean, he's not a perfect prospect, but he is a very good, and he is still my wide receiver 1. But Ibuka is my wide receiver 2 ahead of Matthew Golden, which doesn't seem to be very popular in the mock draft crowd. But I just think that he is such a slam dunk day 1 wide receiver 2 for an offense. Maybe not a wide receiver 1, but a wide receiver 2 that you can plug in, especially when you look at the range of where teams are going to be. 12 teams have took a wide receiver before the first, I think, 50 picks last year, and 9 of those teams still, I think, need a wide receiver. They either struck out or They're going to be developmental projects. So I like him here at plus 500. I don't love Matthew Golden as a prospect as much as some others do. I just think this is a good shot for us to, I don't know, maybe get ahead of the curve here.
I don't want to just come up here and fluff each other, but unfortunately, it sounds like we're 3 for 3.
Love
so me and my buddy did our mocks today, and we compared, and where we differed. And I hate to say it, I do, like, I think he might be right, and which means that you and I are both wrong. But the concern I have is the Dallas Cowboys are minus 250 to take a wide receiver with their first pick.
Yeah.
And the guy that I could see them absolutely picking would be the Texas standout with Matthew Golden. And I believe he ran like an insane 40.
4.29. Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with you. You know, I watched Texas as well. And like, I don't know. He didn't jump out to me. I was more of an Egbuka guy.
Yeah.
And that's a better way to play it. I think Egbuka going second, 5-1.
Yeah.
In my mock, I don't even have Matthew Golden in the first round.
Oh, take a bow.
Because
take a bow. That's what I'm talking about right there.
And you said, and I'm not even trying to be different. I have Egbuka, and I have him at 22 to the Chargers.
Yeah.
If that's where they're going. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think how I play this.
I think what I love about this in particular is that this is a deep wide receiver class from these guys can start for our team relatively soon at some point standpoint, right? So I think that's going to push a lot of these teams in the teens to going after the lines, the corners, just kind of really focusing on the meat of what they should be going for. And then these teams 20 and on that all still, Denver, Jesus, Pittsburgh, get the words out. The Ram. I'm going. I cannot think of team names tonight. I'm going with the mascots: the Chargers, the Packers, the Texans, the Rams, even the Commanders, the Bills, the Chiefs. I mean, that's all picking in the 20s. Teams that I think could take a good stab at wide receiver, and I think that's the guy who can immediately step in for them and take these teams, where they want to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm so in. Also, I mean, I'm just curious, but do you also have Luther Burden? Kind of like, are you not super high on him? Because I was really surprised.
I love Luther Burden. I think he's going to be one of the best players from this draft. I'm just praying for landing spot. I'm praying for it so bad. I pray he goes to one of these offensive-minded juggernaut head coaches. And he doesn't kind of just slip and fall his way to the wrong spot and land with, a team that's not going to maximize, because he's just a freak. Yeah. Like, he's such a freak. And I have a soft spot for those guys because I'm a freak. I know you're a freak. We're all freaks around here. Shout out Coop in the chat here, who said if you fluff it 3 more times, you're playing with it. And
I saw that.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So so what's your Luther Burden take?
I mean, I'm with you. I'm a Luther Burden guy. And we were talking about that earlier today, and we thought, the Commanders pick late in the first round. I think they're probably going to go defense, but I feel like that would be a really good spot for him.
Yeah.
Even though they got Deebo Samuel, I think if I had to see him.
Yeah. Deebo to me feels like a 1-year guy. So I love that. I'd feel a lot of fun about that, especially with kind of Cliff Kingsbury's weird history with kind of these like wild type wide receivers. I've seen a lot of him going in that early second round to like a Titans type team, and that just makes me not feel very good.
Yeah, I don't like that either. And day 2 picks are you can wager on those, so that's something to consider. When I feel like there's a really good opportunity too, where it's like, I thought this team was going to draft this, they didn't. Well, the next position makes so much sense. Who's the guy? So that's why I was asking you, because I agree. Like, I'm high on Luther Burden, so that's going to be something I keep an eye on day 2.
Love it, absolutely love it. So Sick Money's with us too. He said feels like Burden could be this year's Brian Thomas Jr. That's right, baby. Let's go. That's the kind of hype. Those are the kind of hype trains we want rolling here on this show. That we might clip that.
You're a fantasy guy. I hope you appreciate that. I didn't win, but I got runner up, and it was mainly because I got Brian Thomas Jr. I'm in an auction league for like $1, so that was cool.
Hey, as a guy who doesn't win very often, despite dedicating most of his time to this, I appreciate just the love right there, just the love.
Cool.
All right, let's get to your next one here. You know what? This is one we kind of teed off a little bit more, but I like that this is a player to player comparison, sort of similar to what we just did to Ibuka and Golden. So tell us about your next pick.
The next pick. Okay, so if it's a player to player comparison, sorry, I don't have the damn Google Doc in front of me. So I'm going to assume that is probably fading Jedi Baron.
I've got Campbell and Zabel.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, even better because I'm probably more confident in that.
Good.
So there is a draft prospect that I am not too familiar with. And he's an offensive guard, I believe, from North Dakota State. Does that sound right? It's Gray. God, what the hell is his name? Somebody help me out here.
Hold on, I see it here. Is this who you're talking about? Gray Zabel? Is this who you're talking about the picks? Yeah.
Gray Zabel. Okay, so I was not too familiar with this guy. But again, there's always a guy. I think the Bucks drafted oh God, not Alex Kappa, but
Cody.
He went to the Bengals. He was there for a couple years.
Alex Kappa. Yeah, sorry.
It was Alex Kappa.
I thought you were talking about our long-haired North Dakota State guy or wherever he came from.
So there's always this guy, and I mean I love guys like this. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see. First of all, I don't see the Bucks passing on Campbell at 19, and I don't think I see this interior lineman going incredibly high because of these positions, or I'm sorry, of these teams that are back there around where the Bucks are picking.
Yep.
The Broncos are at 20. I don't think they're going to go offensive lineman. I think they're going to go running back or wide receiver. Pittsburgh, I don't think is going offensive line. I think they might make a splash. I see that there's hype with them taking Shadur, or they're gonna beef up their defense. The Chargers, the Green Packers are definitely not going offensive line. Minnesota, Houston probably could be a team that takes him. But yeah, I'm gonna take a shot. It doesn't seem there's a lot of really good edge players and pass rushers and D linemen. I don't see a ton of linebackers, and that's a position that's still fairly important. And like I said, the Bucks really need a player there. And I'm sure there's probably one or two teams that I'm not really thinking of. So this is plus 160. It's probably that for a reason, but I'm going to take a shot and hopefully the Bucks just kind of being asleep in overvaluing maybe a lineman here instead of a linebacker. So yeah, give me Campbell over God, I keep forgetting the guy's name.
You know what? Honestly, not remembering this name makes the bet so much better. Like, it really just like hammers home the entire point. I like this because you've got a guy priced at his floor at Campbell at 19, shouldn't fall any lower than that, and you've got a guy priced basically at his ceiling in Zabel. So the odds of them going the other way, especially when you look at teams that are going to be needing Zabel a little bit more. Most of them are in those 20s. You've got Texans, you've got Rams, teams who need to protect their quarterback, keep them upright. So feel pretty good about that. And it's just, if you're taking a guard that early, it's really got to be a glaring need, kind of like you said with the Seahawks. So do the Seahawks get goofy and go one of these guards if they haven't fallen at 18? That's the only thing I could see maybe being weird, but that so much has to go wrong for that to happen that I don't see it. I don't see it in the cards.
Well, I hope you're right.
Nice. All right. We're going to throw to a little ad break here. And then when we come back, we'll hit our final two bets of the draft.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
We bumped that code up to $50 off for any of you hotheads out there who want to come in here and have some fun. We got some late additions to the chat here. Jamie, how we doing? Jamie, good to see you. Hope your night's going well. All right. And Slashy did agree with us there. He said, "Got to watch out for Seattle at 18 with don't say his name. We were not giving him a name tonight. We're no names in the
Dago
chat."
Zabel over Booker. I'll pay to find out.
Nice. I like that.
That's
That's
where
right.
I'm at.
That's a classic. You know what? Fine.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. So I needed a long shot and I needed a longer shot from the historical odds of it happening. So I'm going over 2.5 tight ends taken in the first round at plus
Ooh.
750. I thought I was going to get better odds with this, but Mason Taylor's odds as that third tight end have actually crept up to minus 115. So I understand what they're getting at here. You would think this hasn't happened a whole bunch, but it did happen as recent as 2017. So it's not like there's a lot of historical precedents for this going against me, although it's not the sexy or it's not the most common thing in the world. So you've got Tyler Warren, surefire first round pick, Colston Loveland, surefire first round pick, two guys who were in a lot of top 50, top 25 on big boards. So we know on the top 50, top 25 minimum on big boards. So it's really going to come down to Mason Taylor here, who I do think is a first round talent. I do think he fits a lot of needs for these teams specifically that are picking in the back of the draft. I mean, you're looking at just from 32 down, the Eagles, who are going into the final year of Goddard's contract, the Chiefs, the Bills, who's took a swing and a miss on Kincaid. The Commanders absolutely need more skill position talent on offense. And then, you can even get a little bit crazier, but that feels like the range for Taylor for me. So super talented player coming out of LSU, can do a lot of work in the intermediate and deep areas of the field, which all these teams love. I just feel good about my my long shot parlay. I had to get one in here.
I think for plus 750, that's worth the juice. I got Tyler Warren going 7 to the Jets. I got Loveland going to the Colts. I certainly think those two will be taken in the first round. The only team that I really think makes a lot of sense to snag another tight end is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think when I was looking at their needs and what they could go for. It makes a lot of sense. But I guess my one concern is if someone tries to trade back up into the first round for any reason, it would make sense that the Eagles also would be like, sure, screw it. But yeah, you said you were surprised you didn't get a better number. I thought that maybe because there's some from the podcasts and the shit that I listen to, a lot of people are starting to love this Mason Taylor guy from LSU. He's getting a lot of late hype from I'd say the past day or two. So I thought that would be a little bit lower, maybe like 5 to 1, 4 to 1. So plus 750 is a really, really good number.
I think I'm catching it right as it's starting to drop down, and I would love to know what that's going to end up being as we go into tomorrow night.
Yeah,
just a little history for everybody. That 2017 tight end draft class. Can you guess who was in it? First rounders. Well, I'll get your brain jogging. They're all similar type players, but one of them was near and dear to our hearts.
Austin Safarian Jenkins.
I guess you can't see the hat too well back here.
Oh no, I can't see it. It wasn't Ken Dilger. Oh, not Kellen Winslow.
OJ Howard. The great what if. That's a little.
You remember he made a catch at a Rays game, like he caught a foul ball, and they said this is the best catch OJ Howard had in his career.
God, can't even. He's out supporting another team, and he couldn't even get there.
I had such high hopes for that guy. I mean, he looked like a freak.
I thought that he was going to be something, and God bless him, injuries and not being very good got him. OJ Howard, Evan Ingram, and David Njoku rounded out that 2017 tight end class. So Evan Ingram, David Njoku still playing well into their careers. Late picks too. David Njoku went 29. Evan Ingram went 23. So I'm hoping Mason Taylor can kind of carry the torch here. Who said it in here in the chat? Yeah, Jamie said he's football royalty. He's right. Love that. The Zach Taylor connection is strong in this one. So feeling pretty good. All right, that's my last one for tonight. I'm going to let you, as the guest of honor, get us out of here with your very last favorite NFL draft bet.
All right, last favorite NFL draft bet. What do I have on the sheet?
Oh, this is your time to be a Baron.
My time to be a Baron. Oh,
Jody Baron. That was a terrible joke on my bet.
That's okay. Look, I don't know a lot about this guy. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm up here preaching anything that someone should or shouldn't do. Please do not tail this. Okay. I think there is probably one true cornerback getting drafted when I go through my entire mock draft and when I go through these teams, and it's got to be the Miami Dolphins at pick 13. And for whatever reason, I am way more into Will Johnson from Michigan. If you look at the odds board, it says for the first position, who will be drafted. Let's see, the second cornerback. Barron is -130. Will Johnson's +115. I thought about going that route, but then I said to myself, just in case the Dolphins, because they do have other needs, so in case they go offensive line or something, I could see Barron kind of free falling. So I played his over 17.5 draft position.
Love it.
And the under was actually the premium. I think that was -130. So the over is only -110. Again, I always wonder sometimes, it's like, oh, do the books know something? But whatever, I'm just going to take a shot on this one and kind of go with my gut. I'm not incredibly high on this guy. So, and the Packers need a cornerback. I think that's where I have him going. That's 23. So I don't know. I mean, I got one Will Johnson going to the Dolphins, and they're not even guaranteed to take a cornerback. So they could take Emamwari, this guy from South Carolina. I think is also, people kind of like him, but I've also seen him mocked all the way out of the first round. So who knows where he's going? But yeah, that's another one of the plays. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, and that's probably why you're mentioning it last. But I got to go with my gut on that one.
Oh, you got to get cornerback talk in sometime. So I've seen cornerback, as far as what I have in my notes, is kind of anywhere from like the Dolphins at 13. Although I think how they don't go tackle will be beyond me. But but I got to say, if they don't, getting rid of Jalen Ramsey, you got to start this team is starting over whether they want to or not. So maybe just take the best player available. And then Barron, to the hinge point here, you've got 17.5. The Bengals at 17 is such a fascinating. Could see them doing this. You've got oh man, you're going to be sweating this one out. You've got you've got the Cardinals and the Falcons right before them. Who the Falcons need pass rush, but the Cardinals need a little bit. The Cardinals need a little bit of everything.
That's a good point.
You know what? This would be a hilarious Buccaneers one too if Campbell's gone somewhere. But that gets you a win. That's a slam dunk for you if he ends up going. So, he is consensus number 2 for some of the analysts that I follow. Barron is, but a lot of them do not have him mocked in that top 16, 17. So I think this one might be sneaky slam dunk here, honestly.
The teams that you mentioned, the Falcons, Cardinals, and Bengals, I could see them all going pass rush.
Yeah, they're going to need it, and that's kind of pass rush alley right there too.
Exactly.
Those teams picks, and I hate to come back to it but it is really such a long-term thing. Is what is a cheap pass rusher going to do for your cap versus a cheap cornerback going to do for your cap? And a cheap pass rusher it's going to 10 times out of 10 be more valuable. So love that for him. Love that for plus 17.5. So bingo. I think that's where we wrap things up.
Awesome,
man. This was a great time. I'll get these picks cataloged for everybody so they can call us out when we fuck things up, but it's okay. That's what we're here for. We always like to step up. So appreciate everybody in the chat stopping by. Degenerate, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, anything you have coming up, all the good stuff.
Sure. At the Degen Weekly. I see you got it right here on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. And I'm on Twitch, YouTube, doing the board review every weekday, 10 a.m. I'll be live streaming the draft tomorrow. I don't know if you are as well. But one of my favorite events. I don't love the new format. I did go to Detroit last year. It was rocking. I'm not gonna be able to make it to Green Bay this year, unfortunately, but I will be glued to the first round. So thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And best of luck with all your draft bets. A great sleeper event of the year to wager on that I don't think a lot of people know.
I think I could not agree more. There's so many different ways you can go. And you can look at everything with a completely different perspective as everybody else out there, which I love so much. And it's really the last event that we have that we can criticize people for being wrong before the season starts.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Like if you're a hater, this is like, come on, come eat while eating's good.
Yep.
So we couldn't invade Greenland, so we'll all just have to invade Green Bay instead. All right. As always, I'm Chuck Bass. This is another fantasy show. If you guys enjoyed the show, please go ahead and like and subscribe, all the good stuff. As with all my guests, I ask for a number 1 through 5, and I'll ask you tonight to play us out of here.
4.
Nice. All right. Cheers, everybody.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday. Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You call now.
I'll call now.
Now's the time to save on Sears installed central air conditioning. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, and no payments until August with the Sears Charge Home Improvement.